Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am Amalgamash, and I am here with a very special guest. As we get into some dev topics, I would love for you to welcome none other than Evolution Artist, the person responsible for this game, Everlasting Quest Legacy. Evolution, how are you doing today?
Not bad, spent a couple hours this morning poking at BAKIN, working on the live version behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, man.
This game has been in very active development, as anybody who's been watching the channel lately knows, because I've been trying to keep up with the active builds, and with each new build, there's a ton of stuff that has been added or changed or amended. And I've got questions that I want to ask for the viewers. You could kind of think of this as an interview / gameplay. I did something similar with Jordan Sorcery, although it was more tabletop. And I'm not sure that this will be quite as long as that was. One, because my video RAM, whatever the case was, said, hey, no, forget you. We're going to go ahead and die. So lost a bunch of footage there, which is why I try to keep things to the around 30-minute mark. And I actually have questions prepared, which I'm not sure I had anything prepared for Jordan on that day.
Sometimes that's so right, though, on the fly.
On the fly is great. On the fly is great until after, when you're like, man, I should have asked him this, that, and the other. I should have said this and that. So a little bit of preparation, I think, is where my bread and butter is. Just a little bit of prep.
Magical follow-ups.
And I've already gotten everything from this druid. I'll ask you to introduce yourself to the viewers. Tell us what you've done, where you come from a development standpoint.
Well, short version. We'll go with being that my name is James Ravenwood, also known as the Evolution Artist. A lot of my artistic creativity originally comes from more physical art. I've done some digital. The extent of digital is more audio-based, but we're talking over 10 years ago. But I've done way more physical art than anything, so the concept of going digital and playing with something like this allows me not to waste paper or clay or any of physical materials. I love not wasting materials.
That's a fine way to look at it. I'm gonna make sure that the music is like really low.
I naturally put it low because players, I know one of my other testers, it was set at 50, and he said it felt like someone taking an ice pick through the ear. And I was like, listen, I want the game to feel that way, not your ears.
Yeah. Now with the music low, I know that it won't overshadow
the feed,
your lilting tones. So what were you doing before this project? What do you have any published work out there that we could analyze and compare?
Honestly, demo wise for digital gaming, no. It's all more of physical and digital artwork that I've done on my website, so you can get maybe a mental understanding and design of where I'm going with the game based upon the genre of art that I make. So game wise, no, but definitely a vast gallery which is on the main website of actually, this is where I'll do the plugin and make sure I got the right name. I know I named it correctly because I paid for it. No, that's not.
Ooh.
It's actually quite easy. So, for those who are listening, it is evolutionartistproductions.com. It covers just about everything from the Instagram to the Discord channel, DeviantArt, Itch, YouTube, as well as a physical gallery which houses all of my art dating back until the early 1990s. So It's a vast collection for sure, which can enlighten those who, wish to partake in viewing such material.
Nice. It's cool that you're able to show off stuff that you have from that far back. I know I lost almost everything that I made from the 90s, which really sucks.
Part of that on my side is I did lose like 3 or 4 years, but that deals with someone who had a little of an anger management issue with me, and I was out of town, and they got a hold of one of my art boxes, which contained about 5 years worth of material. So there is 5 years missing, but it's kind of in the middle. It's like 2002 to like 2005 that I'm missing.
So someone may ask, what is this game? What are you currently working on? What is your current project? What can you share about it with us in its current state? Tell us about the full build, whatever else you want. Where is this going? What are we going to see when this product is ready for the world to view? Which it is now. You can go download it for a demo for free right now on itch.io. But the full game.
So with what you're currently playing right now, Ash, is literally more of a concept demo, ideas and thoughts that I want to have in the game. The visuals will be at least in that same type of art style, dark, light gore, but some of these maps may never get carried over, or I might figure out a way to be creative and readjust them. But so the main concept of what you're playing is to get the understanding of rotation play, or as you were saying before, stamina play. A lot of those factors are going to be similar. As for where I originally started at with this project and where I went with it was, I originally was working on another one, which was actually just called The Everlasting Quest. And that was originally on another, essentially RPG maker type software. And I originally was doing it all in 2D. A wonderful supporter ended up buying me a plugin for 3D, started playing in 3D, crashed the heck out of that software. Apparently, I don't understand that there should be limitations, but to me, it's like, but the canvas is limited. I can paint everywhere. And the engine's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Don't you have a memory? And I'm like, no.
When the user has more RAM than the PC.
I don't know if that's true. It's more of like, can the engine handle the memory?
Bloated foot.
Oh.
This is new to me.
So, just as a heads up, and it's just something I want to see if you visually spot it, I'm gonna have to play with wall settings, obviously, in the long run for the live version. There are objects you're looking for, obviously, and this is kind of like a behind-the-scenes developer tip. You're looking for objects which will help you remove those barriers that are in front of you.
Okay. Wonder if it'll tell me in the game. No.
No. Listen.
Of course not.
Bare editing at the moment. Kind of think of my designs of kind of like Hellraiser. You're walking through a labyrinth. There is no guide. Do I touch this object? Do I not touch this object? Will I be punished for it?
Not a bad way to describe it. And yeah, that pretty much encapsulates my whole experience of the game so far. Yeah. Especially in the last zone. What are you trying to achieve overall for your player experience? Oh, I got a lot of stuff from him. These dwarves be hoarding.
They're dwarves. What would you expect? Anything less would be absurd. So a sense of trying to the game experiences is that when I finally start getting into the full true storyline, is that it's going to be storyline. Kind of, if a game really does in any type of game. Doesn't matter what you're into. If the game doesn't have a storyline and doesn't make you self-reflect, I feel it's not a game worth playing. So if the game doesn't make you feel something in the sense of like, oh, I played this in this said game, I felt this way, and then it kind of reflects to a personal memory. So it's kind of, I may never know the user's emotional bond with the game, but if I make that connection invisibly and the player feels that they enjoy it. By the way, you're looking at the new updated.
I see that they're assorted.
Yes.
That's
so
nice.
So for those who are using BAKIN, it's how it's stacked inside the editor is how it's displayed. But the experience more so is that it's that struggling to find a balance in life, physically in life to in game. And I know a lot of people want to escape reality and just play a game and not feel that way. But in other games, when, like, say, as an example, you're playing a game and one of your sub-characters dies, but you've just spent 15, 20 hours of gameplay with them, and now they're dead, how do you feel?
Well, bad.
But it's that emotional bond. Even though they're not real, it's kind of like grabbing someone by their shirt and be like, listen to me, damn it.
I'm reminded of a character, and I'm kind of of the mindset that if there's people that haven't played it yet, even though it's 20 years old or whatever, I won't spoil it. But I am thinking of a game character that died that I put some time into. Unfortunately, I was spoiled that the character was going to die, and so I knew not to work on that character too much. But I thought, man, if I had worked on this character a lot and they had died, I would have been ticked off. Apart from the emotional damage.
I feel, in my opinion, one of the greatest old school games that did that is Mystic Quest.
So I'll have to stop you on pointing to anything specifically, because I would like to play that, and I haven't played it beyond the first hour.
I wouldn't go into the details, but it's one of those games where party members are changing. It doesn't mean that they die, but you've helped them progress in their particular storyline, which is really cool. So you see that you're doing that rotation, which is great.
Yes.
And that uses the small party system gameplay, which I like. All right, small hint, or are you good? Keep going.
I'm good.
But yeah, no, just finding that balance is great.
I've disarmed a magical barrier. Finding that balance, yeah. And I was gonna say, somebody might not really care too much about like the story itself. They might not be of the mindset to judge something on its storytelling. They just want to min-max. And then I guess
then that would not be my game for you, because
right.
it will have so the live version, which will be the only spoiler that I'll give on the live version. So when you first start the live game, you will be given the option to choose between 3 classes. Very standard classes. You'll have your knight warrior type, you'll have your magical type, and then you'll have your rogue type. After you've earned so many levels, made progression in the storyline, you will then be able to get the advancement of that class, and you will start at level 1 with that advanced class. So there is a grind in it.
Oh yeah.
But each class will offer their own flavor. The advanced classes obviously will be stronger, but those are based upon dedication and reward play, as I would put it.
So it's almost like having a new game plus when you roll into that upgrade character, because you'll be able to go back and face the older enemies if you want, but you'll be a stronger level.
It'll definitely be a concept that I will test. End game wise, which is where I'll play at as well verbally with you, is I will end up having something called I don't know if it's the proper name, but I'll use the name for right now. It'll probably change, but as of right now, it'll be something considered more of like a astral prime rift. And when you activate these, it will spawn you into a random zone, and you will complete the task that is in that zone.
Okay.
And there'll probably be about 30 of those that I will design, which is a lot of map work, but it'll also have difficulties.
Cool.
The difficulties will definitely scale, but you will get essentially materials which will help you craft your higher end game equipment, which will allow you to do the higher astral primal riffs. So it's a progression. I mean, once the design of the main game is beaten, the legacy part of this, so going back to the original game that I was making, which was Everlasting Quest, is that in the original game that I was making, you were playing as the Eternal Spirit. And this is technically prior to that. This storyline that's being made is prior to that. So you are essentially, light spoilers, is that you are essentially playing the mother or father of the Eternal Spirit in the original Everlasting Quest.
Uh-oh. And by the power of magic, we have skipped time and space, and we are back here. This is what you have aimed, what you have described is what you have... Excuse me. This is what you've aimed to provide the player with an experience. But now my question is, why? Why this particular experience? Why are we not saving Princess Gumdrop in the land of Fantasy Leaf? Why have we gone dark? Why have we gone visceral?
Because the dwarves have eaten all the gumdrops, and there are no more gumdrops left to ever be eaten.
That's why they're that color.
Yeah, I mean, it's what happens when you visit Ash McKetchum's chocolate factory.
Oh, this was before I leveled up. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there again. And I'm going to save. Now, let that be a lesson to you kids out there. Save your game frequently. I don't know that I'll get an error again. That might be because the first time I ever got an error like that, at least playing this game, I was in the Forest of Souls, and I had interacted with a cooking pot. I did nothing different the second time I went through there that I know of. I interacted with the pot again, no error.
Yeah. I feel that the software, because it's in early access, and even when I talk to Santa about it, I've done a lot of things that they themselves did not expect a user to be doing.
That's okay.
They expected people to be using the terrain, not the, hey, let's dump like 50 OBJs onto the single screen.
I would say, yeah, the same is true for Smile. There were definitely some things that people got creative because of the limitations. Limitations make it creative. So
yeah, you learn your boundaries on the canvas for sure. But the inspiration of designing the game in general, as well as kind of what stems back to a lot of my creativity, to a small degree, but strictly for the game, was when I was younger, a friend of mine's brother had actually spent the time to give me an old black and green screen Game Boy with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in it. And I was probably like 9 or 10 at the time, and all he said was me, enjoy the game and stay out of trouble. Enjoy this for free. And when I first started designing the game in the RPG Maker series, that was my mind frame. Design a game and give it to the community for free at no charge, just to provide entertainment. Because I think people may say, oh, well, you pay for what you get. You know, you're going to get what you pay for it. So if you pay nothing for it, don't expect anything good out of that.
Yeah.
Not true. I've found secret gems through the internet that were absolutely free, but way more marvelous than any AAA title game. I mean, and you've said it on your channel before. Great, AAA titles have how many people designing this game? Here's an individual or a half the size or a 1/10 the size group.
Or one. Army of one.
I mean, I think that's what they say about bone mancers. It's a necromancer with no pets and only bones to throw at you. I'm an army of one.
An army of one. This is farther than I've gotten, so very happy about this. I'm about exactly where I was now.
You're crushing it.
So now you were working with another RPG engine. Got some skill in it. You were out painting the canvas, crashing stuff left and right.
That's my motto.
How'd you discover this one? How did you discover BAKIN and/or Smile Game Builder? How'd you get into that? What made you want to switch to this in particular? Why?
Kind of a short search of things as I was looking for an engine that I could do 3D capability in. Smile Game Builder has it. I'm hoping BAKIN does in the long run. But it was actually kind of like a sub-advertisement off of Unity that talked about Smile Game Builder. Don't ask me where or how that's even possible, but it was. And because I was like, a buddy of mine who's a supporter of and donor of the game project, he was doing tutorials on Unity. He's like, oh, you should look at Unity. And I'm like, anyone I've ever talked to who's touched Unity has curled up in a ball crying because it's kicked him in the face and says, do you know what you're doing? And the answer is normally no.
You should try Unity. Why do you hate me? What did I do to you?
That's like someone going, hey, you like Paintbrush, right? You should try Adobe Photoshop. There's so many tools. So many tools.
You'll be fine. It's better than whatever you're doing.
Open up the box and it's just a jack in the box that pops out, hits you in the chin.
A friend of the channel has described it almost word for word the same way. If you know, you know. Do some life point recovery. Actually, don't. Those are mushrooms. I need to save those. What do we have? Is it my pal? Is this my pal? Hey, buddy. Hey there, pal. Buddy?
You should zoom in and take a look at that wonderful object.
And
I think it's G is zoom in. There you go. Look at that. Nice roasting human corpse.
Hey.
Of bones.
It's not Jenkins? Aw. I was hoping it was my buddy.
Jenkins is on the other map. Jenkins was actually a last-minute ad. He was added in version R2. And I was like, we need an undead merchant who appears from time to time.
I love it.
To sell you some life water.
Because it kind of reminds me of... I bring this up to Shar all the time. It's one of the most... impactful, I don't know why, one of the most impactful scenes in animated movie history for me of all time is in The Last Unicorn, where they come across the skeleton and they're like, we don't want him to alert everybody that we're here. He's a living skeleton. Give him this alcohol and that'll placate him. He'll be distracted. Or he asks for it one way or the other. It's been a long time since I've seen the scene. And He just takes it, and they're like, but you can't drink, because you're a skeleton. And he's like, no, but I remember. And he holds the bottle up to his skull, and I don't even think there's any liquid in the bottle. He's just pantomiming his
going through the motions.
Favorite act in life. He ends up tattling on him anyway, because what a punk. But still.
Whoa. Listen, when you have nothing better else to do and you're dead, sometimes causing a little bit of drama is the only entertainment you have.
Yeah. Drinking and causing drama. He was right in his element. So that's what the skeleton merchant reminds me of. He's like, you want to trade? And he's just this bone torso out of a column, and you're like, why not? What else have I got to do?
I mean, secretly he's from. Oh, now I can't think of it. It's very subtle. The name is not there, but it is within Mighty Python.
Oh, okay. Is it in the Holy Grail? Search for the Holy Grail?
Yes, and it's
been a minute since I've seen it.
It is actually, so the character design, and you have to really pay close attention to the scene, but it's not really shown slow-mo, is in the scene when the rabbit, and you see the rabbit's den, there's a bag that is covered, or not a bag that's covered, but a bag that's laying about that has a ton of merchant equipment. It's a very subtle screen, and it's only in that shot for like 2 seconds. Because he's the only character that is not a knight who gets killed by the rabbit.
Nice.
Ah, man.
So now, the last thing I've got, really, what kind of stuff are you into right now that you'd like to share with us, if anything? Any games that you're playing? Any series you're watching?
Game-wise, I'm kind of all over the board. Some of them I can mention, some of them I cannot because they're private. But a lot of them are very story and fantasy, and some of them are very, we'll go with kind of using the old school term, Gothic era.
Yeah.
And I feel, so, I mean, V Rising is a great one that they've done so much with V Rising in the last 6 months. You play as a vampire, and essentially you build up your castle, and you're reclaiming the land. Not a big storyline behind that, but it's definitely a visual action RPG. You kind of leaves a lot to the role-playing mind frame on that. The Diablo series, always a good throwback. I think I know which rock you're missing.
Well, I definitely...
Did you get the one?
Oh.
Just as a small thing, did you find steps that were near the tree?
Don't think so. Heading back there now.
I know in the long run I may need to not use this tile set because it is very...
I like the tile set. If
I actually custom made it, it's just really hard on the eyes because everything
maybe the side of the tile could be just a bit darker, but I mean, I'm not.
And the light, and I could probably do that through the lighting map. Yeah, there's steps right there, kind of.
Okay, I see that. I would not have found that. Ever.
So that's why I kind of try to put the tree trunk there as a hint.
I see. Yeah.
Because there was no, if I had left that plain white, nobody in a million years would find it.
No. Definitely hidden in plain sight.
But kind of as a side note, as people who get to know me in general, and even anyone who watches this, I'm free to direct messages. If you ever have a concern about the game, want to just chit-chat about anything, even beyond the game, I'm a logical individual. Think of this game as a 3D chess game on top of a Rubik's Cube. So imagine trying to move a chess piece through in a Rubik's Cube. That is the twisted concept here.
And, do I drop down? Oh, no, I do not. I thought I could.
I'm pretty sure it seems that you figured out which element the blood dwarfs are and the blood creatures.
Yeah, I had to experiment a bit, and I just took my time with it, but it was rewarding just to take it easy.
Yeah. So going back to something that I said to you before, and it's more helpful on bosses for sure and heavier. Each gemstone type, A and B, stack. So if you use the A version and the B version, you get both buffs. The Soul Gem has been upgraded, has a higher defense now. That's also mentioned in the description. The Power Gem has their buffs as well as the Energy Gem. And yes, they eat mushrooms to become in tune with their throw blood at you. Because what else are dwarfs going to eat?
Yeah, there's a bit of lore in the mechanic rather than the storytelling. It's implicit. It's like what that doesn't make any sense. But if you think about it, it could have all kinds of wild, dark.
So while you're in the screen, go back one. Now look at what the Death Brew does. I've upgraded it.
Whoa! Recover 900 and 600, buffed with extra damage and defense.
So there's a bonus to it now. And that just makes it more rewarding to actually use a consumable. In the live version, it will definitely be one of those things of gather and upgrade things as well. Something that's not shown in the demo, but will be in the live version, is that you will get a personal home instance.
Really?
Yes, it is absolutely... I already have it designed out. I already have it drawn out. It'll have cooking. We'll be using, and pardon me if I mess this up, but Jeggins, I'll be using his plugin for it.
Awesome.
I'd actually, I know when I spoke to him, I don't know if I was the only one, but I know several other people may have talked to him. I know that I originally talked to him saying, I need a crafting system. And he's like, I'll see what I can do. And the creature was created.
Whoops. Go back there. I gathered an herb instead of a rock. I can tell the difference.
Yeah, so I did try to make it where that's actually the black screen ticker. All right, so I'm going to help you get to the boss because I'd like to show the viewers, and you're already going in the right direction, I believe.
Okay, well, I'm just going to escape every battle from here and...
Yep, down that path. So this particular tile texture, I can't remember all the users' names in Discord offhand, but I know there was someone who I was talking to about it. Yeah, don't use that. Too much progress lost. Can you get up there? No. To the left-hand side. You see the pebble? Nope. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel about the sun. Creature of the dark. Is that the blood was actually the poison tile. And I dyed the color of it in the program. Yeah, you definitely want to say it.
Prepare to die, you foolish soul. Wow, this is the first time they've addressed me. Usually they just attack. This one's actually kind of flattering my presence by... You know what? I'm all right with that.
Now, have you noticed the new camera?
We are a little further in, and we've got motion to it.
So the only
cool.
time it does a focus in is with attacking, but the idle is kind of a light in and out type motion.
Oh, he's got some blood spatter dudes that are with him. Although they're not targetable, they are all the target. Master Bloodborne, huh? Well, we're gonna destroy him. So, that's it. That's all I have for questions. Anything else that you would like to share while I am getting my arse handed to me by the Blood Dwarf boss?
I would say you should give them a demo of, well, when you get a chance to heal, but try using the 2 gemstones and see how much you punch a player for.
All right.
Give them that effect of learn. Oh yeah, definitely heal though. I mean, he's punching hard.
Yeah.
It's that mushroom.
He's just putting the mushrooms on his boxing gloves, isn't he? All right, so Energy Gem A.
And then you'll use either one. So
I was going to ask, does it matter which one I use first and then the other?
So my recommendation is use the lower one first, so that one loses one round, and then use the stronger one afterwards, so that no matter what, even with one fades off, you still have the stronger of the two on for one additional round.
Makes sense. Ow. And now that I've done that, it's time to activate.
Now you can see just above your EP bar, you can see that there's two different color gems, so they are represented differently.
Yes.
I'm hoping that BAKIN adds some type of way to show a round counter, because that is not something manually that I can put in.
Every time I get myself in an advantageous position, I miss. Watch, I'm going to miss again. Drives me nuts. Okay, didn't miss.
540.
Oh man. Oh, and I forgot to get my experience brews. So, would you like to teleport outside the cave? No, I'm actually going to restart. But that's so I can. So I take that very seriously. I'm going to drink them brews. What I'm going to do.
Yep. So going forward, all of the remaining demo, because the early demos were or the early levels of the demo were just what's on that map is what's on the map. The Den of the Marquis is actually a multi-layer map that will allow you to shift through several element zones. And the mind frame is just to give that experience of each element and what's partake. I think that maybe Zone 1 and Zone 2 are really the toughest until you get to the last zone. Because you're at level 24 and you've been doing the brew stacking, which is great, I've actually looked at the experience table. To get where you need to get all of the rewards you desire, from the demo to the live reward, and this, so the tent that gives the rewards, from Abby. Full playthrough, one time, will get you enough to buy 90% of the rewards. So at least 10% of that will require grinding to get the additional currency. And that's just obviously more so to promote, hey, because you put the dedication in and you were willing to stick out my torture as a digital dungeon master.
Yeah.
And kind of, kind of like on a closing mind frame on this. So the design of the demo to the live version, and this is kind of going to be a tip as well to other users. I've already tested it partially. When you get down to the very end and say you want to take your demo and kind of collapse it to a smaller portion to save on zipping it, is you make the maps actually smaller, and on every map you have it auto run a zone teleport, which would then teleport you to the zone that I plan on making.
Gotcha.
For the rewards. And that allows you to bring the character over, and then it will essentially teleport you to the reward zone, or at least the starting area where you would pick your model type, which I'm using model type A or B, which is going to be more of a, do you want to look more, busty, or do you want to look more masculine?
Yeah.
And that's where the character design is going to be, that the character customization of, do you want to play as a male warrior or a male or a female warrior? So there will be some customization, maybe not into being able to pick your hair and stuff like that, but at least a little personal feel to it. And that's kind of the concept, especially demo to live, is being able to show people, hey, you did this thing, I'm glad you stuck with me.
Now that will translate to the other class archetypes as well. The warrior, but also maybe the rogue, and also the magic using type.
What do you mean?
As
transfer?
Far as having the ability to present as a more masculine or a more feminine character.
So in the beginning, when you pick it, and using BAKIN mindframe, is that say you pick type A, that flips a switch that moving forward, any class type you want is going to be type A.
Yeah.
Or type B. Now, something I didn't go over with, but it will be there, is that you will actually have access to all 3 starter classes at an exchange rate, though, which will be in one of the main cities. And in order to change classes in the long run, you will have to interact with an item similar to, I believe it was like Final Fantasy 4 or 5, where you couldn't change your members out in the game, but you could only do it at a specific crystal. And it'll be, I can't remember which one it was, but I know it was one of the older school ones.
Probably 4.
And I like that concept.
5, you had everybody. Everybody was just there with you all the time.
Yeah, because apparently you had plenty of tents to pack everybody in.
Mm-hmm. Well, when everybody carries their own tent, it makes a little more sense.
Until you have the guy from, Final Fantasy IX, the Blue Mage Chef. I love him.
Oh, yeah. Long time, dude. So, closing thoughts. That's good advice. Making the map smaller, putting the teleportation in. That may very well prove to be really, really handy.
Because where I'm at now, I just finished the 4th map of the initial forest zone that I'm making for the live version. And that's not even counting images or RBJs, but where I'm at right now. When it unzips, I think I'm at about 650. When I hard zip it, it crunches it down to about 600.
Which, that unzipped size is still really good for everything that I've seen and played. For a BAKIN game. And the zip program that I'm specifically using is the RAR, R-A-R. Yeah.
And if you do the best and I think it's a 1000 and something setting, it really compresses it very well. The only thing that I think I would openly suggest to anybody who is developing in BAKIN for the first time or any engine is always review your assets. If you don't need them, get rid of them.
Yeah.
They take up space. And you don't need 1080 images.
Yeah.
You just don't. This isn't Unreal or
Nobody's
Unity.
going to be playing and looking that closely at stuff. Especially if you don't give them the option to. And you can't zoom in all the way and check that stuff out.
You could, but I know I limited it because I've actually found the closer you zoom in, even with what I'm running, and I'm running a 3070 Ti, and then I have an older Intel, but I'm at 48 gigs of RAM. It's still, when you zoom in, the only way I can describe to you is like sticking your face in a cake. You will see every frosting pixel you don't want to see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in the engine you can, but I mean, in the game, you do have it set up where you can't.
In my game, you can.
Limit.
Yeah, in my game, you can't, but I've played it originally without that, and I was actually going to make it where you had the option of switching between third person and first person. I was really going to work hard on that, and I may do that in another game to make it where you're traveling in the open world, and then when you enter into dungeons, you can go into first person mode.
I'm just going to say, I don't mind that idea for this project. I think that could prove to be really, really cool.
I will tell you the only issue that I have is that the camera does not play well with OBJ files. So even though they have the option to ignore terrain and zoom you in, it does not do so well with the actual 3D models. That is the issue that I ran into. And I do a lot of my mapping with strictly 3D models. I pretty much use a flat terrain when I design. And I know some users are okay with just using the square blocks. Unfortunately, my brain doesn't think in squares. But that's not against anybody.
Somebody who comes from the RPG Maker or other tiled RPG engines, somehow you don't think in grid? Interesting.
I mean,
I guess not every game that came out was gridded, and I praise those efforts. I definitely.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna do, and I want to at least share it, and it'll give you the insight. Is I want, if you don't mind pulling it up, and I am going to go over, and I'm still gonna do a little bit more on that, but I'm gonna remove the snow floor, and I'm gonna remove all the terrain, so you can see that this is a square. I despise this personally. I cannot do it. Now, the only reason I would use that terrain is like I'm using the snow one, is because of the tiles. I will get those footstep sounds.
Yeah.
I'll be down in a second, love. But so I have the snow floor, which is one terrain, and then I have my surrounding.
Yeah.
Then we'll go over here and click on that. Actually, there's a way. Yeah. Camera tilt. So, and I've actually been taking pictures of this and starting to make my Photoshop map. So there will be a map in the game that players can open up and look at. Obviously, it's not available in the demo because I didn't have connecting zones.
Nice.
But there will be. And where is this? I had it. Where is it at? There's a secret of not selecting an object. There it is. So, and at this rate, I would just hit Alt and print screen, and it would screenshot just the screen that I'm on, and then I'll crop it out. And actually, I can...
Then do all that fancy Photoshop stuff where you give it the sepia tone.
Well, I'll probably do a sepia tone, but...
Crinkle paper.
Well, so here's the funny part. You like the Grimoire. Now, the Grimoire is actually about 52 layers for one page. And it's because of the... For each page, because I use several different leather overlays, and I have them shifted in different, so it actually looks like the book was made out of raw leather.
Okay.
So when you're looking at the menu, it was fun. I definitely plan on changing the font a little bit and giving it more of a pen and ink feel.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
But early on, it was just kind of get a basic concept, get it out there, and then go from there. Same with the battle UI. That will be evolving. I had some really great ideas with it. I don't want to get hung up on one thing, and that's another tip that I would give any developer is if you get hung up on one thing, have tons of notes. Save notes. Come back to them. Don't let one thing hang you up, because if you're a person who judges yourself based upon progress, it is better to make the notes and be like, I will come back to this, instead of getting hung up on it. Pretend everything is a math problem. If you don't know the answer right now, you will learn something in your journey to solve that problem later. This is one of the best pieces of advice that I can give any developer.
Those are good words. It's wise words. Yeah, if you don't know the answer, skip it. Come back to it later.
Yeah.
Or just put C, because if you answer C on everything, you're bound to get a certain percentage of questions right.
Until you start just typing C in C script, and then C script is like, we see what you're doing.
Stop that. Yeah. All right, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining me on this devlog gameplay chit-chat interview journey. I hope that guys out there really let us know what they think about the format and really flood with comments. I know you've flooded my gameplay videos of your project with your comments. I halfway worry that I'll wake up, I'll see that I have 18 comments on this video, I'll get excited, and they'll all be from you, just commenting on, yeah, you missed the rock in that. I know, you were right there watching me do it.
And it will all be there to commentate for the viewer, who's like, why are they doing this? And it's just going to be like, well, if I didn't say there was a hole in the ground, he would have walked into it. Said every dungeon crawler that I've ever met.
So, really good time. Check out the links in the description below, please. And do let us know what you thought about all this experience. Check out the game, Evolution. Great to have you. We will do this again, I'm sure, in the future. Maybe
on a side quest of Tibia.
That would be... I know. I know. I own that.
It's all of your pixel dreams and nightmares in one little tiny MMO.
Guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye for now.
Rock on.